We're ready. We're ready.
So
We're live.
would I be able to share it somewhere, or would
Uh-huh.
it be
You can
on
share
full?
it.
I
You
don't
can
know.
share it on your platform. So, do you have your phone? Hello,
No.
hello, hey everyone. Okay, so y'all saw us backstage, I guess, because we
Did
was up
they?
in yeah, because we were live, girl.
Oh,
I
I'm
just got the
sorry.
notifications on my phone.
Oh Jesus. Hello,
Y'all are in
people.
for a treat.
I know.
And here I am trying to get rid of lipstick and whoo.
So
Okay,
we are in the first episode of the show, and I
what show
just
is that?
realized that I never sent my part of the intro. It's okay. We just gonna keep going. It 4 weeks later. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's somebody's in here. I don't know if that's you, your hub, somebody is in here. Let's see who that is.
Okay.
So if you're in here, please, please, please come on, just say something in the comments. Hopefully we can see you. You might need to give StreamYard permission so that
Yes,
you can comment. Otherwise, I will be going into my phone. But we is live, girl.
I
We
know.
is live.
After we've been talking about this for like months now.
It has truly been months. So we're live. Why are we live, girl? What are we doing? Hey, I'm Auntie. And who's that?
I'm Ash. I'm
And
Ash
we are Hey Auntie.
and Ash.
And
It's
we are coming to you every single Friday night around this time. And this is the best time in the world because it's the fall. So most of y'all will be sitting on the sofa anyway with your
that
phones.
part.
Right.
That
Hey,
part.
Nina. Oh my gosh, that's Nina.
Hi,
Hey,
Nina.
Nina. Nina, please share this if you can. Share this with your community. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a
It
wild
is.
ride. I'm going to be quiet because I want Ash to talk to y'all. So, Ash, why are we here, girl? What we doing?
So we are here because probably about 4 months ago, I felt like this kind of like push to do a podcast, and I kept like thinking like, who would I do it with? Who am I going to have these conversations with? And it was it was the auntie, Miss Michelle. I was like, okay, all right. And so then I called her, and she was just like, I've been waiting. I've been waiting.
Hello, hello.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting.
Because now Auntie got to jump in because I had this idea in 2021, literally like in November. And I thought of this one young lady, and I was like, I don't know. And but I wanted Ash, and I'm like, she's got too much going on. She was in school, she's working, she's acting, she's a mom, she's a wife. And I'm like, I just can't for the life of me ask her to do that. So I didn't. And God was like, I got you. I
Amen.
got you, boo. God
Amen.
brought it around full circle because I didn't give up, but I did put it on hold. Like, okay, God, well, apparently, if I think she's too busy, which you were,
I was
um, it obviously wasn't the time.
no.
But here we are. It's the
Yes,
time.
it is the time. So yes, so that's basically how we got started, and we just started kind of planning and all of those things, and we are here. We are here.
And we are Hey Auntie and
And
Ash
yes,
podcast.
yes,
And if you guys don't know where we get that Hey Auntie from, what rock have you been living under? Hey
exactly.
Auntie, okay, with our boy Michael B. Jordan talking
That's
to
right.
the Queen Angela Bassett.
Yes, yes,
And
yes,
the concept is two perspectives, right? I'm 51 years young. I'm just a baby, and Ash is what are
I just
you
made
like?
36.
You're
Yeah.
a fetus. No, I was talking about. I said I'm a baby, so you're the fetus.
Right. I
If
just
I'm a
made
baby girl, you still in the womb.
I know. I know. I
So we
know.
wanted to have the tough conversations, the fun conversations,
Yes.
the conversations you would have if you had the perfect family that was open to
Mm,
share, right? If you didn't have this family that was like, young people are to be seen and not heard. You need
exactly.
to respect me. If you, oh, wait, Ash, I know we're supposed to be talking about other stuff, but have you seen Kirk Franklin's?
Oh my God, baby, that thing will bless you. And I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
So number one, because okay, people don't. First of all, people don't understand when you go through like heavy trauma.
Mm-hmm.
you are very goal driven, which is kind of like a mask, right?
Mm-hmm.
For like you like measuring your worth,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and I know how that feels because I got a master's degree, I got a bachelor's degree, and I was looking at a doctorate degree, and I'm just like, ma'am, are you doing this because you want to torture yourself again? Do you know how hard this thing was? But it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like you get the this accomplishment is not enough. So then I go to this one, then I go to
Mm-hmm.
this one, then I go to this one, and then you think that that will be enough. But I think it's so very interesting to see Kirk Franklin be an award-winning, multi-award-winning artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And still feel the brokenness of the young boy that he was.
Mm-hmm. So if y'all don't know, with me over here trying on different glasses, this is gonna be a real podcast,
And
real
number
people.
two, won't the Lord do it? What I mean
Won't
by that is this.
won't he will?
Who you thought was your daddy wasn't your daddy, and then he brought you a whole, not broken daddy that's still alive. That still is like, man, you're at the forefront. We're gonna do it on your pace. He gave him something that he never got from his other parents. Man, the story's still jacked up. But
Yes,
I
yes, and
thought that was,
amen.
I'm like, dear Jesus,
Mhm.
you be doing your thing.
So we have started this podcast without truly accurately introducing ourselves, even though you
Yes,
just got a glimpse of who Ashley is. But I wanted to ask that question because I was talking about why we came up with this concept.
yes,
And it's if you had the perfect family and you could
yes.
talk about all the things and you
Mm,
weren't disrespected because you were a millennial or because you were Gen whatever, but you could really be honored in what you're feeling and get different perspectives from different generations. That's what we want this to be. And I
exactly.
thought about the Kirk Franklin thing because remember when he was I think he was in the car and he called his aunt
Oh, yes.
and she was like, hell,
And
hell.
he said, I feel like a 10-year-old boy still. Oh, Jesus.
And she would not respond accurately or correctly with him until
No,
he acknowledged her as
it's
auntie.
auntie.
And the reality is, apparently, she has not lived up to that term, auntie,
No.
but she wanted to be acknowledged and respected as such.
But
So,
also, I don't think it was just that. I think also she refuses to see him
oh yeah.
for who he is today,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Because what if we would have walked past him like, oh my God, I love Kurt Franklin, blah, blah. You know, it would have been, that's just my nephew. You know, like
Hmm.
that type of thing. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hmm. And if you look at the dynamic, it's very common in our households, that
Mhm.
trauma. So when I talk about trauma, Ashley, what would you like to share about your background? Because this is our inaugural podcast. We
Yes,
want
it
to lay
is.
the groundwork and the foundation so people know who they're listening to,
Yes.
who they're watching, and why.
Okay, so basically, I am a Pew baby to the T. My mama literally went into labor with me at a church service. Okay. And disclaimer, like, I don't know if y'all know who one, not who y'all, if y'all know who, not Juanita Bynum, but Jackie McCullough is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But literally, my mama went into labor in a Jackie McCullough service, and Jackie
Wow.
McCullough laid hands on my mother's belly and told her that I would be a holy baby.
Wow.
I think that has reigned true from today. No matter where I have gone, I have just stayed anchored, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, anyway, I am a child abuse and a sexual child sexual abuse survivor.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I went through molestation from ages 8 to 10 on and off.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up on the south side of Chicago, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And grew into this person today. I decided to out my story when I turned about 27 and I got tired of being suicidal. And
And how did you do that? How did you share your story?
oh Jesus. So y'all, I was literally on my way to church and was very suicidal. That's what people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband which was my boyfriend at the time, he looked at me and said, "What are you gonna do about it?
Mm.
Like, are you gonna keep allowing this to happen?" Because the significance of my story, I don't want to say the significance because everybody, I don't want to say everybody, but everybody may know somebody like this.
Mm-hmm.
I had never not been around my molester. All that time I was around him up until I was 27.
Mm.
So I spent holidays with him. I had to spend birthdays saying happy birthday. I
Mm.
thought that this was my father and I needed to respect him and
Mm-hmm.
all of this, even though he wasn't my birth father, he
Mm-hmm.
was the one that was there from the time I was 4 all the way up. And I still had a real dad,
Mm.
my biological father. So I got on Facebook and I told the world. And I remember telling my sibling, which is his biological daughter, and said, "I love you, but I'm about to do something that you are not going to like," because my sibling loved and adored
Mm.
her dad and still does.
Yeah.
Uh, but I went to Facebook and I told it all. And I guess my story like kind of like had weight to it because within the church world, his family was kind of the cream of the crop.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I wrote a book called The Surgery, shameless plug.
Mm-hmm.
It is on Amazon. The
Mm-hmm.
Surgery by Ashley Johnson Wicks. And so, yeah, so I kind of was working through that. And then that's like, so flip, which is her word, flip.
We'll
my,
get there. We'll get there.
my sister and her in Miss Michelle, Auntie Michelle, her daughter became really, really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were like thick as thieves in
They
high
went to high school
school.
together.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I had never met her yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I didn't know much. I knew some things, but I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that happened, she reached out to me and but I kind of wasn't like in that space because I don't even know if you noticed. I was getting messages telling me to take it down. It was
Mm-hmm.
a woman that he had been dating, and she was telling me that I shouldn't be saying like it was just all
Wow.
kinds of things happening, right? And so at the time I just wasn't in a space to like talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe like a year later or something, we kind of like connected and then she started like doing her content and all of those things and then I had kind of saw the similarities between our journeys and all of
Mm-hmm.
those things and then we kind of it kind of blossomed slowly, right? It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like I was like in her face like please like none of those things are happening.
Mm-mm.
And then I spoke at her conference.
Mm-hmm.
And just over time, we just allowed the relationship, right, to blossom, right,
Organically.
organically. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like calling. I think this year and last year is the
Mm-hmm.
most that I've ever called you
Mm-hmm.
since things have happened. And that was
Yes.
like, I think when I said something, that was like 5 years ago.
Well,
6
you said you were
Oh, let me
how
take it
old?
back. Let me
27?
take it back. That was
Mm-hmm.
9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it
And I
took
think the
all of that
conference, I think my conference was, so the last one that I had was 2019 because I was supposed to do 2020 and the pandemic happened. So
right.
you spoke on the one the year before. So that
Right.
was
So the reason why I
2018.
said 6
Mm-hmm.
years is because I've been married for 6 years, but
Mm-hmm.
technically we were not married. We were just still dating.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
So, yes, so that brings us to me. So, Ashley and I have so many similarities. And yes, Taylor, Ashley's sister, really close friend, they went to high school together. And Taylor called me like, Mommy, Leah's sister. I don't know if I should have said her name, but anyway, her sister just told her story on Facebook. Please reach out to her. Oh my gosh, please. And I did. I still have that message to this day.
Oh,
I looked at it probably a couple of months back. And she wasn't rude or anything, but I could tell she wasn't ready. Not to talk about it with a total, well, I wasn't a total stranger, but I was strange enough. We had never met. And it has been a slow burn. And the reason that my daughter asked me to reach out to Ashley is because, like Ashley, I come from a background of abuse. I'm 51. So that's why you see my hair blowing, because I have my fan on because I'm in perimenopause. Okay. But and your girl, Auntie, is hot all the time.
But
Or
it's giving Beyonce.
but I was sexually abused by an uncle, molested by an uncle at the age of 9, from 9 to shortly before I turned 10. And I disclosed it. Not to, well, I disclosed it, and I was abused because of it, or attacked because of it, and punished and told that I was lying.
Mm.
That sent a horrible message to my psyche, to my frontal lobe, to my limbic system. My brain was like, oh, so not only is your body not your own, but if you try to protect yourself or speak up, you'll be further punished. Okay, duly noted. I'll never say anything else, no matter what happens to me. So I learned to shut down at a very early age and compartmentalize and literally process and deal with my traumas and my life on my own,
Mhm.
which was a recipe for disaster, because I also came from a background of mental illness on my father's side, especially. There's some going through my mother's side too, undiagnosed. But so that was a recipe for disaster. And I dealt with a lot of depression, severe clinical chronic depression is what they called it 30 years ago, actually longer than that. But my first suicide attempt, I was 12 years old. My second, I was 16. And by the time I attempted for the second time, it was because my father had been released from prison he had been in prison since I was 6 for raping a 12-year-old little girl who lived across the street from us at the time. He was released from San Quentin. And when he was able to see me, he raped me. And that happened a few times. So at 16, I attempted suicide for the second time. At 17, after trigger alert, all these things, too late for that, right? But at 17, after he pulled a gun on me and choked me to unconsciousness and slapping me back to conscious, all of this and the rapes and all that, um, I begged him to take my life, because at 17, I attempted again. And I was forced to be in the mental ward of the hospital. I was there for 7 days. That was traumatic. And I learned a lot of things during that time, though. And in the process, I was also having grand mal seizures. I was having so many things. So many things were going on in my life. But long story short, I had my daughter at 20. I turned 21 the following month. I was determined that she would not have the issues that I had as a child, that she would feel seen and heard always, that I would be there to actually raise her, because I was not. I was a latchkey kid. Needless to say, my battle was not a successful one. I tried to suppress, and by 22, I joined a church, gave my life to Christ, because I wasn't raised in Jesus, but gave my life to Christ and thought that was going to be the answer. These voices, not audible voices, not external voices, my own thoughts, that intrusive mind chatter was constantly telling me from the time that I was 12, I should just give up. Life was never going to get better in my mind. My own mind. It didn't matter what was going on outside for me, because I wasn't attempting suicide because of circumstances. It was because I had no peace in my mind. I was tortured and tormented in my own mind. And at 30 years old, I attempted for the last time. And not only did I attempt, but I physically flatlined. They did mouth to mouth and chest compressions and used a defibrillator on me several times to bring me back. And that will be 21 years ago, this October 22nd. I will celebrate 21 years, death to life. So, with being raped, being molested, all these things, suicidal and attempting suicide ideation, my daughter thought, Mommy, you're the perfect person to talk to her. But one of the best things I learned about that time, even though I planted the seed, it's for one to plant, another to water, for God to give the increase. Today, I feel we're getting the increase, because it took time. It took time, even though I wanted to help and, play Jesus' right hand and save somebody. God was like, it's not up to you to save her. That's my job.
Hmm.
But I do have a plan. So this won't be all churchy, even though we
No.
went there.
Yeah.
But we do love some Jesus. We
Yes,
love
we
us
do.
some Jesus. We some Jesus freaks. We some Jesus babies. Okay.
Yeah.
But it'll be just those kind of conversations. We both experience so much trauma and joy and experiences. I'm a wife. I've been married my second and final time, because if this don't work, I'm just gonna be single for the rest of my life. I am not playing. But I've
Man.
been married 11 years, I think. We've been together 12.
Okay.
And my daughter is 30, and there are complications with that relationship. I am a grandmother, and yeah, so I've been around the world, and
You
I.
know, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Period. Period.
So I brought up Kirk Franklin because today's podcast is just to introduce us, to get to know us a
Yeah.
little better. And then I thought, why not, since we're sharing our trauma and our drama, why not talk about some of the things that we notice and recognize with the Kirk Franklin
Oh
story?
yes. So,
Go ahead.
Jesus. Okay.
Give it to me.
Before we start, the
Uh-huh.
crazy part about it was I was looking last night. I saw the reunion tour, like them, like rehearsing.
Oh,
They
mm-hmm.
sound immaculate. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I went back to those days where I was stuck in abuse,
Mm.
and I couldn't. My sister's father would not allow me to listen to secular music, which lets you know that religion is not necessarily Jesus centered, right?
Yes.
Um, I could not listen to secular music, but the only thing I could listen to was Kurt Franklin.
Mm.
And I remember sitting on the porch, and I
Wait,
remember
wait, wait. I'm sorry. Put a pin in that for 1 second. Something just jumped off this screen and these earplugs from me. You couldn't listen to secular music, but you could be molested?
Pal.
I'm just wondering.
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
Mhm.
I remember putting on those headphones, and Kurt Franklin's music became such a solace for me,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like a deep solace.
Mhm.
And it was like once I was listening to all of his songs, it was like I was in another world,
Mhm.
right? And I find that so very funny because a lot of the times, I mean, I just think like, what if he would have been so deep in his trauma that he would have never like shared his gift with the world?
Yeah.
And even though that little boy is very much like still there,
Mhm.
like that music like saved me at a time where, you know what I'm saying?
I
Like the
do.
air was so thick. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, but what the part that really got to me was the part where he was with his mom.
Yeah.
The very second time when he brought those results.
Mhm.
And what he was saying was like, you just can't give me this. You know, this is he's laying it out like he's like, this is what happened to me. I was with my child and my car was repoed, and this is blah blah and so and so so and
Mhm.
so. And because she's so knee deep in her denial, she's so knee deep in keeping her story intact, right?
Mhm.
She's
Mhm.
so knee deep in not even showing and sharing her own trauma, right? In that moment, she wasn't even mature enough to give her child what he needed. It was almost like she turned into the 13-year-old girl.
Yeah,
You get what I'm saying?
I do.
Um, I resonated with that part so much.
So for me, it's interesting that you bring up that part, because I think about my own situation. My mother and I had an extremely tumultuous relationship. I didn't find out till after she had passed away that the love that I so desired and I yearned
Mhm.
for And I long to be seen and validated and told, "You're amazing. I love you. I'm thankful." I've never heard "I love you" from my mother, and I never will. She's
Mm.
been deceased since 2016. And one of the things that really was interesting to me, and I've said, I will not be her. She taught me the roadmap and the blueprint to what not to do as a mother,
Mhm.
inadvertently without her knowledge. But when she died, I mourned the
What
fact that
was
she
it?
never lived her truth. No, just the fact that she never lived her truth, that
Mm.
she took her secrets to the grave, because I
Interesting.
didn't even know until after she passed away. She couldn't connect with me because I was the product of rape.
Interesting.
And had I known that when she was alive, it would have given me a different perspective,
Yeah.
different insight into her and into why I felt so rejected all the time. At least I would have understood it.
Good. Yeah.
Part of me not loving myself and being
Hmm.
insecure, and that mind chatter and the brain hurt, the brain pain that I lived with all the time,
Yeah.
was because I wasn't accepted by my mother. Yes, the trauma of rape and all that stuff, but your mother
Yeah.
cannot tell you she loves you, and lets you know in how she acts towards you that she doesn't. I wasn't built up and told I could accomplish anything. So
I,
the fact
yeah.
that you would prefer to die and take that
Mm.
than to face it,
That's weird.
to free someone else. Because
Exactly.
imagine how I would have been freed had she told me that
Exactly.
she was alive. Just like Kirk and his mother, the parallel there, like he's begging her, "I
Yes.
need this. If you can't give me this, I'm done." And she still chose her lies and her
Yeah.
pride over freeing that space of trauma and that space of pain in her son to protect her own pride and ego.
Well, I mean, I agree.
Mhm.
My story is so in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It's like in the middle of his story and
Mhm.
your story, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
With me and my mom, we are working through, right,
Mhm.
our situation. You know, it wasn't that my mother never told me that she loved me.
Mhm.
Her actions just did not line up with the love that she proclaimed to me,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Um, and when I say that, my mom was not neglectful in feeding
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
in bathing me, in buying Christmas gifts, and all
yeah.
of those things. None of those things.
Mhm.
There was just one simple thing, right? And I talk about it in my book, of course.
Mhm.
And that was her separating herself from the man who molested me, right?
Mm.
Um, it was that, and now I'm 36, and now we're working through like why she did it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the fact
Which
that
is a blessing, which
yes,
is,
that's a blessing.
let's not just skip past that. The
No,
fact that
no,
you're
no, that is
no,
a
no, I
blessing.
don't mean for you, I mean for me. I have to
Okay.
highlight that, like, I have to step in and as an auntie moment and say, that is huge that
Yeah,
you and she are willing to work through that.
yeah,
So that's a blessing. Mhm.
yeah. And so, um, it's we're working through that part, and realizing like some of it was, I mean, my mother was a victim as well,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I don't think I did not realize that. I
Mhm.
think as children, I think there's an expectation when you're a child that your
Mhm.
mother is gonna put you first, right?
Absolutely.
And so there was like a deep betrayal there.
Mhm.
I think the biggest heartbreak for Kirk, though, is that
Mhm.
his mother is willing to put herself
Oh,
before,
absolutely.
and it has always been that way, right? And he
Yes.
needed for her to put him first. And
Exactly
so
what I
that's why
said, basically.
I found it so very
Mhm.
interesting that this because them is and that
Mhm.
nose
Mhm.
is
That's his father.
different,
That
okay?
DNA test or no. That's his.
99.9%. what I found very interesting was like she did not, she kept putting herself first, but I thought it was very interesting that the father that did come was interested in putting him
Him
first,
first. He
right?
told him it's about you. Someone he didn't know, someone that doesn't share bloodline or experiences,
Yep,
history, none of that. Well, not bloodline because they share blood, but
blood.
no experience,
Yep.
no memories of him as a child, nothing. But he could put him first.
Hmm.
And that is amazing. That too is a blessing.
Yes.
Even though in the middle of that blessing, he gained one thing to lose
And then
another,
lost another.
even though he really didn't lose her, because according
No,
to
because
him,
he
they've
never
never been
really had
close.
her. Okay.
Right. And
But
if you would,
let me tell you the
mhm,
funniest part.
mhm, come
When
on.
they were sitting in that room and the auntie looked at her like, girl, now
He just want to know the truth.
are you gonna tell him? Or because at this point she like, baby, you're lying.
And it's obvious. 2 DNA tests. And that's my point. You would prefer to put your pride, your ego, your embarrassment, yourself over your son's healing.
Exactly.
And that is a problem and a conversation for my generation to have and the generation
Mhm.
before me.
Yeah.
Because even with us having this talk, there will be people in my generation and older who'll say, why y'all out there telling all your business? House business is house
Mhm.
business. And what goes on in this house stays in this house. But the problem is, there were so many dysfunctional, traumatic things going on in that
In the
house that
house.
shouldn't have stayed in the house, that should have gone
Exactly.
outside of the house to get some help for that house. Okay.
They
But we
needed a
kept it.
mandated reporter for that house.
Hello, get the police, the DCFS, and all the SSs in there to get some
Exactly.
help in that house. But the pride, the levels of pride and embarrassment, and all these things, and it's like,
Hmm.
when do you choose? When do you choose to free the child that you gave birth to?
Exactly.
Just with truth, just with
Exactly.
saying, I'm sorry. Yes, this is true. Yes, this is your father. Yes, whatever. Yes, I was raped.
And
Yes,
that
I.
was such a simple task. It's just,
Hello.
yeah.
That man is in his 50s. He don't care. But
No.
I think about when you were talking about Kirk Franklin, and I remember his first album, and I remember Stomp. And for me, even though I was still struggling so desperately with suicide ideation and thoughts and that spirit and all these things, the song that got me through so many days, Imagine Me.
Oh yes.
Being
That's
free,
true.
trusting you totally. Imagine Me, like that whole concept. But he was the very thing you were talking about his music. And if he had not gone into music because of his trauma,
Yes.
he was able to reach us the way that he was because of his trauma,
Exactly.
because he could write from that place of
Place of
pain and
trauma.
speak to
Hmm.
other people who were in that kind of
And
pain.
right, he'll take the pain away.
Oh my,
I know he'll
oh,
take the pain away.
girl.
Okay.
So many songs, too many to even name. But I thought that I thought it was very good, especially for our culture to see
Hmm.
it,
Yeah.
and Black men specifically, but also Black women.
Yeah.
Like this whole concept, I don't know if she's embarrassed because she was sleeping around. So the fact, that, well, I'm embarrassed. I don't want people to think I
Right.
slept with
But
this.
baby,
This
you
was
were
53
13.
years ago.
You baby
Girl,
girl.
free yourself.
It's okay.
Free
That
yourself.
you was sexy red before sexy red came out. It is all right, friend. We're not gonna judge you.
Free yourself.
Yourself.
But you would prefer to not be in your child's life than to simply say, yes, I slept with that man. That is your father. Like,
I
really?
mean, what else we need to take him on Maury?
I mean, come on. And the survey says he is that baby daddy. Okay.
Full time.
Twice. So for me, somebody, is there a comments for me though? Hi, Granny. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. Elegant Granny and I were in a group when
Hey.
Periscope existed called the Perry
Oh
Girls.
Jesus.
I know. So Elegant Granny, I know. I love the fact that you're here. One day, if you keep watching, I would love to bring you on here. Because
Yes.
how old are you? How old are you? Elegant Granny, I want to know your age. Just to give it even deeper
Right,
perspective of an older
exactly. That
person.
would be
Yeah,
amazing.
because we can bring another person on, but yeah, just that is so good for our culture. It's good for men to see,
Yes.
to be vulnerable, right? To express their vulnerability, to know that they're safe to do so with their loved ones, but
Mhm.
also for women to see, girl, you messed up. It's
Yeah.
okay. You was a little loose booty. That's fine. That was 50 something years ago.
Right.
Come on.
Everybody didn't. I mean, I don't want to say everybody, but I feel like there's a good portion of women who had a moment, right,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where we were like, I'm just gonna live,
Yes.
And what I did love my mom because I had sent her the documentary.
Okay.
And I think my mom is just like starting to realize because she had never been through any type of sexual abuse, and
Okay.
she's just like it's just very interesting. She's like it was heartbreaking, but it's very interesting how trauma can just stay with you.
Yes.
You
And
know,
it's safe in your body too.
yes, it's
A
like yes,
short story. Every year, for a long time in October, I would be fine in September. This is after the last attempt for me to die, whatever. Elegant Granny said that would be cool. She's 54. Yes, I
oh
would love that.
wow,
So you
yes,
got to be here every week. I'll reach out to you and see because we want one guest per month,
yes,
one
we
special
do,
guest that we can talk with. So
yes,
you'll be our first if that's okay. But that's fun. But every year, even after the last attempt, I went through my healing and started my journey and gathering my tools, figuring out what I needed in my tool chest and all that stuff. And I would be fine. September, I was
mm,
cool. November, I was cool.
know
But
how that is.
Every October, like clockwork, I would get so depressed to the extent that I'm like, I don't deal with suicide anymore. Why am I going through this? And it finally dawned on me a few years back, literally a few years back. My body, my mind, my
Mhm.
soul was reliving that last attempt every single year in October.
Wow.
So when I finally decided, that's when I came up with the death to life celebration. When I said, no, I'm going to take back my body, my life, my memories, my mind, my trauma, I'm going to take it back. When I decided to start celebrating in October, celebrating that as, hey, yeah, I flatlined, they brought me back. I'm going to celebrate my rebirth every
Exactly.
October. Guess who stopped getting depressed in October? I did because my body remembered and my body was going through it every single
Yeah.
October. So, trauma, especially sexual trauma, it's
Yes.
not something that, oh, well, you're
No.
safe now. Why are you still talking about it? Why are you still going through it? Why
Yes.
you still remember? Because we have no other choice.
Choice.
It's in your body, it's in your brain, it's in your sleep, it's in scents. If you smell a certain scent that pushes you back, it's in all these things. Now, can we get the victory over it? Of
Oh yeah.
course. Yes, we can. So, since we're talking about this trauma, Ashley, what are some of the things? I feel like I'm yelling, girl. What are some of the things that you do? What are some of your tools that you
I do
use
nothing.
regularly?
I
Girl,
sit
you know
around.
what? See, see,
No,
see, see how the kids act. Y'all see how the kids act. You see
I
how
don't
they
do
act up.
nothing. They think my generation don't do nothing but complain.
You ain't never lied about that. Complain and tell us everything we're doing that's
Right.
wrong.
That part. I don't just do that,
Mm-hmm.
but I do believe in, of course, read. I pray and I don't meditate as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
But I pray, meditate, therapy when I can.
Mm-hmm.
Um, lately it's been a lot of self care.
What does that mean for you?
So for me, because you go through like phases, right? You
Yes.
go through phases where there's a deep, deep healing phase. And then
Yes.
you go through phases where you need a break.
Yes.
And this is the break. This is like go to the brunch with the girl
Yes.
for
Enjoy life.
lunch,
Uh-huh.
drink a little mimosas, Go back and center yourself. Amen. Because I'm not that
Mhm.
girl that can just be out multiple
Mhm.
times. You will not see me in a club. They're just
Mhm.
not.
Mhm.
I like to be able to, I like to go out to eat.
Mhm.
And I like to dance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So to be that, I'm gonna
Mhm.
get my nails done, gonna get my feet done. Um, and then I'll do like some inner work as well, right?
Okay.
More of that inner work has been like, who do I want to be, right?
Mhm.
Versus who I was.
Yes.
And I think when you first start healing, you focus on the deficits, right?
Yes.
You focus on like, I don't have enough of this, and I don't
Mhm.
have this, and I so and so, and I really need to do this deep work. I mean,
Mhm.
I remember when I was on long fast
Mhm. Me
doing
too.
self deliverance.
Me
Okay,
too. Girl, yes. Getting up at 5 a.m. praying and
like,
morning glory in and
like,
out. Mhm. Mhm.
um, doing married people things.
Mm.
Hallelujah. Uh,
My virgin ears.
um, like those are all like true self-care things for me,
Mhm.
right? Talking to friends. I am I don't really have a ton of I have I'm gonna say this. I have associates that I
Mhm.
see, but I
Yeah.
have like true friendships, right?
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
believe in surface
Yes.
friendships. Now you can compartmentalize.
Of course.
I definitely have my inner circle
Mhm.
that I'm fueled by, and I try to fuel them as
Mhm.
well. Some reading. I'm
Mhm.
writing my second book to my first book. Y'all
Mhm.
pray for me. I have a name. I believe the name is going to be called The Recovery.
You probably shouldn't have told us that on live. We don't want anybody taking your ideas.
Don't take mine. Yeah, it's not called that. It might be called
That was a joke. That was a joke.
Hospital Room.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, um, yeah, I mean those are like the things that I'm doing now. Also, just like for some odd reason, my self-care and my well-being and my healing for some odd reason for me is
Mhm.
very much connected to the food that I put inside of my body.
Oh,
That's just
yes.
how God works within me and all of
Mhm.
those things. I don't know anybody else.
Mhm.
Um, but the healthier I am, the healthier I eat. And I'm not a health fanatic because if you
Yeah.
see me, you'll be like, Sister Girl, what you eating? You must be eating those, a
No,
lot
that's true for us all, whether we
more.
identify it or
Yes,
not. Mhm.
I'm very, but that's where I live. I also believe that I I believe this is
Mhm.
me that
Mhm.
nutrition is a form of healing
Oh, absolutely.
your emotional state of being, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
If I look when I'm depressed and see the foods that I'm eating, it's making it worse, right? Versus
Sugar,
yes,
fried
sugar,
this,
fried
carbs, carbs, carbs. Uh-huh.
fast food and this
Yep, yep, yep.
versus when I am very centered and
Mhm.
feel like I'm connected to God and all of those
Yes.
things. And I'm eating my fruits and my
Yes.
vegetables and
Yes.
my proteins and going
Mhm.
to the gym. Like
Mhm.
I am so very much in I so very much believe that um, people who go through trauma need a holistic view of healing, right? And so I hope to be um, that.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate
I'm
that. So I
sorry,
want
this is a
no,
little
no, you're fine. You're fine, girl. I just want to read the comments from Elegant Granny. She said, I completely understand the
long.
rebirth. I celebrate the day I ran away from my abusive ex-husband. It's a grand occasion. Can't wait to have you on. And then she said, congratulations on your second book, Ash. So I'm going to ask myself the same question. What are some of my tools, my resources when you talk about self-help? Not self-help, but well, self-care. When I think about self-care, because it's such a trendy topic, it was starting to get on my nerves. When I see people talking about self-care, 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 I'm like, thank you. Okay, whatever. But for me, self-care is yes, you can go to the spa, you can do the things. That's great and that's good. And you should get outside, get the air, do the walks, do the things. For me, self care is about how am I caring for my brain? How am I
Mhm.
caring for my thoughts? How am I caring? Even talking about, as you talk about food, you're caring for your body. It's the
Yes,
whole you. It's not just, oh, well, I need a therapist. That's good. And what are you putting in your body?
exactly.
Oh, well, I need a therapist. And if you get out of the therapist chair or the sofa, what are you doing with those residual thoughts? Because I think self-care, a form of self-care is teaching your brain how to think. How do
Like,
you do that? Because some of these thoughts, they don't belong to me. These
no,
thoughts, these intrusive thoughts that just come in. I'm having a great day, a grand day, and a neurotic thought will just present itself. Where did it come from? It doesn't belong to me.
that's right.
Possibly it came from a suggestion from my surroundings or something I'm watching,
That's
something I'm
true.
consuming. It might have come from my past trauma. That doesn't belong to me anymore. So I have to train my brain how to think. So, self care for me is writing because I'm training my brain what I want to think about. Self care for me is focused on what am I eating enough? Am I getting enough sunlight? I love trees. I love trees. Love them. Am I getting enough? Am I taking in enough oxygen from trees or is it oxygen, nitrogen? Whatever. Am I taking enough from trees? Am I getting outside enough? Am I am I coming out of my shell enough? Because
Hmm.
second nature for me is to isolate. So self-care sometimes for me is talking, picking up a phone, returning a phone call that I
Right.
haven't returned because I'm starting to isolate, getting in my own way, in my own thoughts. So yes,
Hmm.
but also I do love me a good old-fashioned bath with some nice. I love baths. That's self-care. I have Sunday bath night. Every
I
Sunday is
love
my bath
it.
night.
I
And
love baths
the
too.
hubby knows that. I love that. And the candles and the things, love it all.
Yes.
So that's good too. And just incorporating those things. So, writing, meditating. I don't do it as much as I should, but I do breathing exercises every
Hmm.
day, several times a day, because I learned that when I'm stressed, I carry it in my shoulders and I stop breathing. I have that
Mm.
shallow, that panting almost breathing
Oh,
instead of the deep breathing, the really being aware and present in my body, putting Michelle back in her body.
yeah,
Because one of the things we do with that physical trauma, we disassociate from our bodies. So,
sure.
yeah, some of the things that I do, and we're plugging books. Also, my When She Flipped book is out there. When
That's
She
right.
Forgave, Love, Purpose, and Thoughts. And it was really not a love letter to myself, but it was a way to get it all out. Whether it was the best book you ever read or not so much, something in there would help you. I went through
Hmm.
so many things, and that book was a labor of love and me releasing all of that pain through the pages, but also sharing some of the scriptures that help me, right? Some of
Yeah.
the things I say, I love acronyms. One of my favorite acronyms is from a scripture of I shall live and not die to see the glory of the Lord. Land, I shall land, live and not die. I shall land. And
Mm.
I'm going to land where God will have me to land. Thusly, on this podcast with Ash, okay, I've landed here. That's a form of self care for me,
Yeah.
doing things that stretch me.
Yes.
Elegant Granny said self care for me is respecting my own boundaries that I set. Girl,
Period.
I almost asked Ash tonight if we could talk about boundaries. That's another
Oh,
topic.
Jesus.
If I don't cross them, no one else will either. And I was gonna ask you if that could be our topic tonight because I do want you to share what you do for a living, not who you are, because you've already shared who you are. But what I do, I actually work for an organization called the Jan Broberg Foundation. And Jan Broberg, just type it in. You won't believe it when you type her name in, Broberg. But I incorporated this activity that we do in one of the, it's actually a community called Thrivivors, and I incorporated this weekly activity. It's for survivors. It's a community about survivors, and it's called the Monday Midday Check-in. This Monday our topic was boundaries, and boy, did we go deep. So I was like, I want to talk to Ash about these boundaries because there's so many levels of boundaries and how we establish and set boundaries with ourselves. And that just speaks to Elegant Granny saying, Boundary self-care is her respecting her own boundaries. So we're definitely going to have that talk. Uh
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
about boundaries and how we implement them, but also how we execute them and how we hold ourselves accountable to the
Accountable.
boundaries we set with ourselves. Like
Yes.
eating healthy,
Yes.
right? Like not drinking too much. I don't drink. You know why I don't drink? Ashley, do you know why I don't drink?
Of course not.
Because I act like a maniac when I drink. I
Oh,
can't. I have zero tolerance. I have zero tolerance for liquor, and I do not like doing things that I suck at. I suck at that. You don't want to see any liquor in me, so I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's no good for me, so I don't do it.
I mean, that's understandable. That is very understandable. That is not
I
my
suck
story.
at it.
I will have me a glass every once in a while. I will.
If you have a tolerance for it, do it. Taylor has a tolerance for it. I just don't.
Yeah.
I
I
just
will.
don't. And I don't judge anybody who does it. I just know I'm no good at it. So, Ashley, we have been on here almost an hour, but go on and say what you were going to say.
No, I meant to say also. So, and I know you were like, people go get their nails done. For me, it's more of a thing where I'm so, my first nature is to neglect myself,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So that is a way of me fighting that nature, right? And
Hmm.
truly taking care of my body.
Yes.
Okay.
And
So
there's no judgment in that. I'm just
yeah.
saying, while we, because all I kept seeing in social media, and
Oh
I know
yeah.
you've seen it,
Let me
is
go do my
spa
nails.
day. Let me get my
Let me
nails
go
done.
blah blah.
I'm going to buy a Birkin bag. I'm going to do,
Well,
and
I'm
all of
not
a
going to
sudden,
go buy a Birkin bag for
but
sure not.
not you, but I saw
But
it so much, and I'm going on this shopping spree.
yeah,
Everything was so external. It was
yes,
working my last nerve. We need balance in this world.
we
We need
do.
both because I
Why don't
shouldn't
you go
be.
get some salt therapy? Do some,
Hello.
okay, do some detoxing, friend.
Hello. I mean, we need internal cleansing
Yes,
and therapy and all these things just like the outside. It would it wouldn't benefit me or anyone around me if I'm doing all this internal work, right?
yes,
Yet I don't take a bath
right.
or a shower, yet I'm not combing my hair, yet I'm
Yes,
not brushing my teeth. We can have both. It doesn't we don't have to live in extremes, but I was seeing so much extreme.
no, I
Self-care,
feel you.
self-care, self-care. So I'm like, "Hello, ring the alarm." Sometimes self-care is saying no.
Yes,
Sometimes self-care is saying yes
yes.
because you live in fear. So now you have to challenge yourself. Yes, I'm going to go. Yes, I'm going to do this. This scares the crap out of me, but I'm
Hmm.
going to do it because I'm caring for myself. I'm
Exactly.
allowing myself to evolve.
Yes.
Sometimes it's no because I'm a yes person and all I want to do is please everybody.
Sometimes you got to say no
It's a complete sentence.
because financial wellness is a part of your wholeness too.
Hello, and
I don't want to talk about
that's a
that.
that's a part of self-care too, right? It's going back to what you said holistically. It's the
Exactly.
whole self. It's not just this
Exactly.
one part, and it's
That's
not
right.
just taking a pill. We're not gonna go there. Okay.
We didn't
Uh,
been on for a minute.
well, we went all around the teacup to get to the
Right.
handle, but I love it. I
All
love it.
around the world and the yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
So, so next week, Ashley, well, Ashley and I have agreed that we will have topics, right?
Yes.
So if you enjoyed this, just getting to know us a little bit, please type it in. Let us know what you want us to talk about. We will
Mhm.
add it to our list. And then when you submit your topic, we will shout you out. This came from such and such, and we thank
Or
you.
you can also submit maybe some anonymous questions that you have as
Yes.
well. You don't have to say your name.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have any questions that you can
Yes.
submit anonymously, that is totally, totally fine. Or you want a pen name, that is totally fine.
Yes.
But yeah, we can't wait to hear from you all.
We cannot wait to hear from you. And we want to know what you want to see because
Yes,
this is not just about us being vain, listening to our own voices. We want to do all the things that Ashley talked about in the beginning. We want to help. We want to
exactly.
pour into the world. Elegant Granny said this was awesome. I'll have to catch the replay of the beginning. Thank you. We really I can't wait to see you next week, but I am going to reach out to you, Elegant Granny, to see when you would like to come on. And I don't know if we'll talk about boundaries or what we'll talk
I
about, but
don't know.
yeah, we'll get together and
But we
think.
definitely gonna get to those boundaries though.
We definitely are
Yes,
because people will push them.
yes, they will. And
Only
you'll forget them too.
you'll forget your own boundaries and won't honor yourself
Yes.
until you're in the hospital. realizing you pushed yourself too much. And if you say yes to everything, you'll be saying yes to the grave too.
Yes, you will.
So, Ashley, Ash, I gotta stop calling you Ashley. It's hey Auntie
And
and not Ashley. So I have to start calling you Ash, and you gotta start
it's
calling me
so
Auntie.
true.
So we have had a blast. I thank
We
you,
have.
Ash. Ash, you can close us out because I feel like I've talked a lot. I don't know if I
What am
have.
I closing us out to? We want to thank you guys for listening and
Hmm.
watching, and
Hmm.
we can't wait till you tune in next week to Hey Auntie and Ash.
Same bat channel, same bat time, and we
Mhm.
will be here every single Friday. So yeah, thank you. Thanks, Ash. I'm so excited. Thanks, Elegant Granny. Thank you to all of the live viewers. And if you're on the replay, thank you. We appreciate you. Like and share, subscribe to our page. Speaking of which, I have to make sure that the page is up and running.
Yes,
Y'all listen. Just hang in there
we
with
will be
us.
on all. Well, we didn't say that. We will be on all streaming platforms,
Yes, we will.
including YouTube. So
Yes,
go
yes,
ahead and watch and listen and subscribe.
yes, yes, and amen. Thank y'all. Ash, hang around. I'm going to end this and thank y'all. Have a great weekend.